morning and welcome to this cozy autumn vlog. It has started to feel really and truly like autumn here in London. The rain is falling today and I'm cozying up with a lovely hot cup of coffee. I'm lighting some candles and I'm going to come up to my sewing room and share with you some of my recent makes and purchases and plans. So let's start with my recent makes. Now I've shared a couple of these already over on my channel. I recently made a Harper cardigan from some beautiful knit fabric from Sew Me Sunshine and some gorgeous Ethel and Joan buttons, and I'll pop a link to that below. And then I've also recently made the peony dress by Fabric Godmother, and I added a few little hacks to that pattern. So if you want to see more detail about that recent make, do pop over and check the video that I'll also list below, which shares the whole process of making that dress, which I have to say I loved making it. And I wore that at the recent knitting and stitching show here in London, and I will share my haul from that show later on in the video as well. So those are two of my most recent makes, and like I say, I have shared so many details about those patterns, including the size that I made and how I went about putting them all together over in those two videos, so do go and watch those later if you would like to. Now it's been a busy few weeks for our family as we settle into new school routines and new after school and weekend activities, so my sewing time has been a little bit more limited than before, and that's fine. It's lovely to have busy, keen, happy children, but it does mean that I'm not getting quite as much sewing time as I used to get. So I have only made one more thing in the last couple of weeks. Here it is. It is the Fennel Fanny Pack by Sarah Kirsten. I'll link the pattern below. Now you may recognize the fabric. This is fabric left over from my Closet Core blanket flight suit, and then the lining is also leftover fabric, and it's leftover Liberty dead stock from my peony dress. Now I had leftovers of both of those and I wanted to make sure I used them up if I could, so this was a perfect little project to use up those scraps. Now this is a gorgeous bag pattern. I have wanted to make sort of one of these bum bags or fanny packs for a really long time because I am on and off my bike with the children, and it's quite useful to have something like this that I can just throw on and wear or pop in the bike if I need to just to carry my phone and my keys when I go on the school run. So it's really great to have this, and I also did wear it at the knitting and stitching show because it was the perfect size to take with me there. Now I bought these chunky zips on Amazon in the end. I looked and looked and looked for chunky zips at other haberdasheries and things, and I couldn't find the right length that I wanted. So if anyone's got any tips for where to buy lovely long chunky zips, do leave them in the comments below. They did go in more easily than I thought they would. I was a bit worried about sewing in these chunky zips, but they went in absolutely fine, and the whole bag in fact came together beautifully. It was a very enjoyable sew. The trickiest part was definitely sewing this bias binding here into the lining of the bag to just hide those raw edges. That was a little bit fiddly. I actually went back and watched the most wonderful tutorial by Gail Doan. You will have heard me talk about her before. She very kindly gifted me her Sewing 101, I think it's called, but I'll pop the video in below, where she talks about all sorts of techniques for sewing, mainly heirloom dresses, but the techniques for sewing in bias binding and piping were what I was watching this time, just for some tips about how to put this in really neatly. And I have to say they were amazing tips, really thorough and detailed and helpful tips, and I feel like that went in a lot more neatly than it otherwise might have done if I hadn't watched her tutorials. So I'll link that course below. I was watching it for another reason, which I'll share later on in the video, but was very, very useful for putting in that bias binding neatly because it is a bit fiddly. I also added one of my favourite little rosy cheeks labels on the inside. It just says handmade, and I've really enjoyed using that. I have used it a lot. So I did actually make it bigger. Now I talked to my lovely friend Amelia, who is Amelia Allen Sews, because she's made a couple of these before, and she did suggest making it slightly bigger. So I actually made the whole bag bigger by 1 inch. I didn't widen it at all, and I think next time if I made it I may widen this part as well, but I did make this front panel bigger, well, and the back panel too obviously, bigger by 1 inch. And I'm so glad that I did, because this front pocket actually fits my phone perfectly, and I worry that it wouldn't have fitted it so well if I hadn't made it that bit bigger. So thank you, Amelia, for that suggestion. I'm so glad that I was able to make that slightly bigger to fit my phone and my diary, my keys, and all those other important bits and pieces. Now it does come with instructions about how to make this strap so that you've got an adjustable strap on the bag, which is great because I can either wear it around my waist as a bum bag, or I can just throw it over my head and just wear it here, which makes my phone and my keys really easy to grab when I'm out and about with the children. So Loved this pattern. I will definitely be making more. It's so good for scraps of things that you're holding on to or you don't want to throw away. They're slightly too big to throw away but too small to make any garments with, but it's such a lovely, lovely pattern to sew up, and I'm looking forward to making many more of these. Okay, so now I'm going to share some of my recent purchases with you. Now these fabrics I actually made as part of a pre-order with Little Legs Fabrics. They shared on their Instagram that they were getting their Christmas fabrics ready for pre-order, and I did jump on and pre-order those. I love making my children Christmas pajamas. We do celebrate St. Nicholas Day on the 6th of December, so I do like to make sure that I've got them some new pajamas to put out for St. Nicholas Day. That's part of our little family tradition, and so I wanted to make sure I could get these fabrics nice and early to get a head start on my Christmas sewing. I shouldn't probably say that word in October, but there you go. I have now got my Christmas fabrics, so I'm ready to get started sewing up my children's Christmas pajamas. Here's the first fabric. It's so cute. It's got Christmas dinosaurs with lights strung around and with snowmen and hot chocolates and all sorts. It's so, so sweet. I think that's possibly going to be for my older boy, that one there. The next one that I saw is for my middle boy, and that is another Christmas dinosaur fabric, because why not have dinosaurs at Christmas? I just love this one here. That's a little Christmas plum pudding dinosaur. I think that is so cute. And then this one pulling a cracker. Love it. So they'll both have dinosaur fabrics, but slightly different ones, which I think is really nice. And then, of course, for my daughter, I had to buy some Christmas unicorns, because if you can't wear Christmas unicorns when you're 4, when can you? So these are beautiful pink Christmas unicorns. They are wearing Santa hats and things, which I'm sure is what makes them Christmassy, but otherwise they're just lovely pink sparkly unicorns. I'm sure she'll love that. And I'm going to use a pattern that I've used before, and I believe it's called the Bayley nightgown pattern, but I'll link it below. It's a lovely knit nightgown pattern. It's lovely and long. You can make it with short sleeves or long sleeves. It comes in a shorter length or a longer length. So this year I will probably be making her the longer length with the long sleeves as her Christmas nightie. If I have leftovers, I may make this up into a pair of leggings as well for her to wear in the winter time, because I think she'll just love this fabric so much. I can't imagine her wanting to take it off. So then last weekend I did go to the knitting and stitching show. I saw so many lovely vloggers and bloggers and sewing friends there. I'm not going to mention everyone because I will forget people, but it was so nice to see so many lovely, lovely people there. I don't think I stopped smiling all day, so if you did come and say hello, thank you so much. It was so lovely to see everybody at the show. I did buy a few things. I couldn't resist. So my only plan this year really was to look at some jacket patterns. I wanted to get some jacket patterns, and also I wanted to look at the new patterns from Little Rosy Cheeks, because I love her labels so much and I really wanted to look at her new patterns. So those are my only plans. And actually I was pretty good. I didn't buy very much at all. I've already bought my autumn fabrics ready to sew up, and so I didn't want to overwhelm myself with too much fabric. So in the end I only bought one piece of fabric, and that's hanging up here on the mannequin. It is a beautiful cotton lawn from Pigeon Wishes. Now I just thought this was such an unusual print. I've never seen anything like this before, and all I'm going to do with it I think is make it into a very simple gathered skirt, because I love it so much and I think the print just needs to speak for itself. I also love a gathered skirt, and I think in the winter with tights and boots and a bright sort of red or blue cardigan, I think it will look really, really cute. That's the plan for that fabric, and I want to get that sewn up really soon because I'm just in love with that fabric. I've never seen anything like it before. I love it. So I then did go and visit Victoria at Little Rosy Cheeks as planned, and I bought this fabulous new pattern called the Hopper Trousers. Now my daughter actually saw the little Instagram reel in which Victoria shared this pattern. She was in love with the heart pockets, so she told me I needed to go and get her the trousers with the heart pockets, so that's what I did. She actually needs some more trousers for the winter anyway, so it's perfect timing. It looks like such a lovely pattern. It's for knit fabrics, Ponte, slightly heavier weight knits, French terry, things like that, to make a lovely warm pair of joggers for winter. And it does have this really cute heart pocket detail, and I'm sure you could make it without pockets if you wanted to as well. Nice little kick flare at the bottom, so that would be a really cute pattern for her. Then I got a little packet of labels from Victoria as well, which was very, very exciting. Some new labels with pencils on them. Love those. Always love a label. Then I went and visited Maison Fauve. I've heard so much about their patterns and I really wanted to go and have a look at them. And like I said, I wanted a jacket pattern, so I did actually pick up this jacket. It wasn't really what I was after. I was looking for a more casual jacket, but I saw this one at the show. They had it all sewn up and on their stand, and it was just gorgeous, so I couldn't resist Do I have any fabric to make this? No. But I love it, so I bought it. And it is called their Vest Metropolis. I just love the pattern lines. I love the way that there's like a little piece of fabric that comes over the shoulder here and then gets sewn in down at the side seam. I really love this double-breasted look here. It's gorgeous. Like I said, I don't have any fabric yet, but that's just going to go in my sewing room so I can just look at it. They're so beautifully packaged, these patterns, and I can't wait to sew that up. Now actually on the mannequin they had this paired with this pair of shorts in quite a sort of a heavier weight jacquard fabric, which I thought looked stunning. And so I did buy these shorts. I love the way that they're shaped. I think they would look really lovely on a pear-shaped figure. They come in at the waist and then they flare out over the hips. I love the pockets again, and they've got this little button detail on the front. I love these details in the Maison Fauve pattern. They're so gorgeous. I've looked at the instructions already. They look like they're going to be a really lovely one to sew up. And I actually think if I made this as a set in jacquard fabric, I could wear it with tights and boots in the winter and it would look really cute. So I'm going to keep my eyes out for a nice bold jacquard that I could make a set out of, perhaps for my winter plans. But for now I'm just going to put them away and look at them. There were so many gorgeous patterns. I could have bought so many more. I tried to restrain myself, but I may be visiting Maison Fauve's website and purchasing a couple more of their patterns. They're just beautiful. That was it. I really was quite restrained. It was just so lovely walking around and seeing everybody and looking at everything, but I didn't want to bring too much home to my sewing room because I just find too many fabrics and patterns get a little bit overwhelming. So that was it. That was my knitting and stitching haul. I went with two lovely friends, Amelia and Leah, and we just had such a nice time together. So I will definitely be going back again next year. It was a lot of fun and we had a great day out. Okay, let's get on with what I'm working on in my sewing room at the moment and some plans for my sewing in the coming week. So I loved watching Lauren on the Sewing Bee. She is so great to watch. I love her sewing, and she did make in Children's Week the most beautiful children's dress, which I recognized instantly as the Little Lizard King Liberty pattern. Now I love Little Lizard King patterns. I make them a lot for my boys and for my daughter. I didn't have the Liberty dress, so I did go and buy that pattern. It's a beautiful pattern. It comes with so many different variations, and it comes in a fantastic age range, right from I think 6 months or 12 months up to 14 years. So a fabulous age range. I'll be using it for a long time. Now the Liberty dress comes with short sleeves, it comes with long sleeves with a ruffle if you want to add it. It comes with a collar piece or no collar, and the collar with a ruffle. I mean, who wouldn't want a ruffle? And it comes with a bib, which you can put pin tucks or buttons on, or it comes with no bib. You can just make it as a very simple girl's bodice dress with puff sleeves. Beautiful. So I did buy that pattern. I think it'll be very, very useful, especially with all those different variations. But the one I decided to make was the one with the bib front with the pin tucks and the collar with the frill, of course. Now I'm using this beautiful Christmas fabric from Belle and Boo. It was gifted to me in exchange for sharing it on my Instagram, which I'll do when I'm finished the dress. But I absolutely love bamboo cottons. You'll know that if you've watched my channel before. Now I only had about 1 meter of this fabric, so not enough really to make a full winter dress, but it'll work really well for the Liberty dress, because what I've decided to do is use white here for the bib piece and white for the collar, and then I've got these white sleeves which I have sewn up but not inserted, which I'll pop here, so it will look a little bit like a pinafore dress over a white shirt in the end, I hope. So I have made 2 sleeves with little tiny cuffs. So sweet. A little placket here and a little cuff, which I need to add a tiny button onto, which I'll do shortly. It does come as a fully lined bodice. Now I've lined the inside here with the green fabric, and then I've chosen to line the bodice piece with the white fabric, just so that the bib looks pure white. I worried if I put the dark fabric behind it if it would lose some of that white and probably look a little bit grey. So I've lined that with the white fabric, and then I have made the collar with the ruffle, obviously. So I think that's going to be so sweet. My daughter calls this her Christmas unicorn fabric. Now the skirt will be made with the green fabric, and it's a nice long skirt, and I've got a bunch of these tiny little white buttons here which will look great on the white and also on the green fabric, and those just came off one of my husband's shirts that he had to get rid of. So I purloined the buttons because they'll be great for my daughter's makes and my son's makes too. Perfectly good buttons. So that's the little Lizard King Liberty dress that I'm currently working on and hope to share with you soon. And then the next pattern that I'm going to be working on is the McCall's M7875, and it's this version here, version C, which is a beautiful dressing gown, and it's got a quilted collar and it's got piping. So this is the other reason I was watching Gail Doan's videos, because although she's sharing a lot of examples from her sewing, which is mainly heirloom dresses and clothes for boys and girls, she does go through so many details about bias binding and how to sew piping and how to sew around corners beautifully so that you get a really nice finish on like the corners of this belt when you pipe it. She has all sorts of other techniques and tips that really work well for adult sewing as well as for children's garments. So I've been thoroughly enjoying watching those videos. They were gifted to me, but with no obligation to reshare or repost. So I do want to make sure I make this really well, which is why I was watching those videos. And now I feel like I'm ready to crack on with this project. And I've got this lovely fabric here. It's a Rose and Hubble cotton from Pound Fabrics. Lovely sort of dark colour, which I think will work really well in the autumn. Now I know that it is a cotton, it's not going to be overly warm, but you know, when I've got my lovely warm snuggly pyjamas underneath, I just want another extra layer, especially if we've got guests staying, just so that I look presentable in the mornings, and also I just want a beautiful dressing gown to float around in. And I can sew, so why not make myself one? So I'm going to use actually black piping on this because I think that will look really smart, and I'm going to use some bias binding from the same fabric on the inside to just hide those seams. So I'm looking forward to giving this a try now I've got a bit more of an idea of what I'm doing, hopefully. Now, just to finish off the video, I thought I would share a little bit about life and about some things I've been enjoying recently. I thought I'd start off with sharing some new vloggers that I've really been enjoying watching while I sew up here in my sewing room. The first one is a fellow New Zealander. Now, she's got quite a few videos on her channel. Previously, she talked a lot about minimalism and sewing some things for her wardrobe. Now she is pretty much just doing crafty videos, which is fabulous. She does a lot of knitting and some sewing, and her channel is called Bayley Made It. I've really been enjoying her sort of cozy style of videoing. I'm really enjoying watching how she's getting on with her different projects that she's working on, and I really appreciate her mindful approach to her sewing and knitting, so do go and give her a watch and a follow. The other vlogger I've really enjoyed is a new vlogger to me. Her name is Tanya, and her channel is called Just Let Me Sew. She's only put up 2 videos, but they're both absolutely fantastic, so do go across and give her a watch as well. I'll link both of those vloggers in my description box below. Just 2 that I've really enjoyed watching in the last couple of weeks, and I thought I would share them with you all. As for us and our family, like I said at the beginning of the vlog, we have been really busy. I've got children that love doing all sorts of different activities, so my afternoons are spent running around on the bike and in the car, taking them to various activities and things, which is great. But also we've been so busy that we are very much looking forward to half term, which is coming up soon, so that we can have a lovely bit of a break and a relax and a rest as a family. So we're really looking forward to half term, which is not too far away now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little peek into my sewing room this week and a little chatty catch up, and I look forward to seeing you again in next week's video. I hope you have a lovely week ahead full of lots of happy sewing, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.